Hi there, guys. God bless you. Thank you for joining us. Great to have you with us. Hoping that you've been able to have a little look-see at our kind of read all about it section, and you can read all about it as well with sort of like 20 headlines there for you to be getting started with your day. Just a little sort of like a reminder for our Australian brothers and sisters. Now they're sort of like having all these restrictions, not being able to access social media, Google and YouTube without surrendering their sort of like ID and the like. And so in an attempt to sort of like meet that particular need, what we've done is that we've started up our Telegram channel again, and there you can find, nearly 14,000 articles and 900 videos and about 1,000 pictures as well, memes, things for you to share and put on your sort of like social media if you so see fit, as well as being sort of like loads of other videos that we put up. So as you go in, you'll find the pinned comment, and then just tap into that, and then you'll find everything that we've had for about 4 or 5 years that we ended up building everything up over there, and the team's done a great job in saving that there for you. So as of today, that takes effect. I'm sure you probably saw that actually in the sort of like article that we put up relating to young people and this tyranny relating to digital ID. Guys, we're going to cover that again here today, as this particular article was titled, and I named it a bit differently, but Alex Karp from Palantir demands that US taxpayers bankroll the Palantir to build an American digital ID surveillance grid. We're going to be literally looking into that, but really wanted to also start with just a few things, as we usually do here, guys. Try and give you a little bit of a backdrop with some other articles, other bits of information that are coming out relating to Palantir, what that company's like, what its sort of like, CEO is about, Alex, as well as Peter Thiel as well, and exposing these guys, because it's not just sort of like, military complexes that these are involved in. Peter Thiel is also renowned for sort of like the adrenochrome, the drinking blood, the immortality, also really pushing in on the transhumanism, let alone funding everything from his former days with PayPal, and this Augustus Doric, who is the rainmaker, as well as sort of like undertaking lectures on the Antichrist. A really shady, dodgy guy, a Bilderberger member. So before we get into that particular article, it's our great joy to literally sort of like expose this as it is. Peter Thiel, one of the most powerful and dangerous people in the world, yet too few people actually know about him. He's not just a billionaire, he's a political engineer, a surveillance capitalist, and a man quietly shaping America's future, and not for the better. This is the guy who bankrolled J.D. Vance. So Thiel doesn't believe actually in democracy. He's openly said freedom and democracy do not mix. He funds candidates who want to dismantle government and replace it with corporate control. This isn't eccentric, it's extremist. He's behind the plans of to remake America from mass surveillance to authoritarian policy blueprints. His companies profit from control. His vision, well, it's a future where data rules, privacy dies, and power is centralized in the hands of a few. Peter Thiel's hypocrisy is absolutely staggering. He lives one way, funds politicians who preach the opposite. He backs anti-LGBTQ agendas while benefiting from LGBTQ rights as a gay man. He talks liberty but bankrolls repression. It's not just an ideology for him, it's also an opportunity. He's dangerous because he's strategic. He's building a future where democracy is optional, surveillance is constant, and dissent is punished. Ignore him at your peril. Peter Thiel is, as we said, JD's top donor and one of Silicon Valley's most powerful men. Recently, he called Pope Leo a tool of the Antichrist and directly told the vice president of the US not to actually talk to him. Far-reaching implications here. 56-year-old gay billionaire Peter Thiel, who hand-selected J.D. Vance with a $15 million donation, openly admits he spends £160,000 a year on adrenochrome. He believes infusing children's blood will keep him younger, and stated there are 3 ways you can approach death, Thiel has said. You can accept it, you can deny it, or you can fight it. I think our society is dominated by people who are into denial or acceptance, and I prefer to fight it. Investing so much money into transhumanism, this sort of like, blood drinking, as well as everything relating to longevity and the like. He also funds, as we said earlier, Augustus Dorico, the 25-year-old tech enthusiast who founded the weather modification startup Rainmaker. According to publicly available info, Dorico's company was reportedly cloud seeding over parts of Texas just 2 days before historic flooding hit those same regions, as was Bill Gates. He received $100,000 through Peter Thiel's fellowship, the same Thiel who co-founded Palantir, the surveillance and defense tech giant tracking everything from troop movements to civilian behavior. Just let that sink in. Why is a Palantir connected billionaire funding private weather experiments in Texas? Why is a 25-year-old with no public oversight allowed to modify the sky? They call it stewarding the natural world. Well, Texas got biblical flooding instead. This isn't a theory, it's documented, privately funded and totally unregulated. No vote, no consent, no accountability, just Thiel money, weather manipulation, and a flooded state left asking questions. And this is also where he sort of like takes a little bit of a turn as well. You'll never guess who's funding the enhanced games. What we were talking about yesterday in and around, sort of like the Olympics. Well, here you go. The enhanced games is going to be a steroid-soaked, farmer-fueled gladiator circus rivaling the Olympics, where athletes biohack themselves in pursuit of post-human perfection. Yep, you guessed it, Peter Thiel, transhumanism is going to be televised. The monstrosity of that, unbelievable. This is also the guy, as we reported earlier, in September the 15th, September the 22nd, September the 29th, and in October the 6th. Okay, he was there basically having a topic all around the Antichrist. Here he was saying that religion thinkers upon whom Peter will draw include Rene Gard, Francis Bacon, Jonathan Swift, Carl Schmitt, and John Henry Newman. These lectures are off the record. Questions need to be asked. Why is he literally having that? This is also Peter Thiel controls more of your life than you actually think, more so than Musk and more so than Mark Zuckerberg. He owns your data. He tracks your locations and funds your leaders. And most people have never even heard of him. Now he's ready to build his Silicon Valley's shadow empire. He is, as is Alex Karp. Okay, Alex Karp is the CEO of Palantir Technology, as well as Peter Thiel, both members of the Bilderberg Committee. Going to bring some of these pictures and images to you yesterday. Afterwards, if you're not familiar with the Bilderbergs, well, since 1954, guys, the Bilderberg Group has gathered world leaders, bankers, CEOs, and royalty behind closed doors. This was most recently done in Stockholm, Sweden, recently, where there's no press, there's no transparency, just 120 of the planet's most powerful deciding the future in secrecy. These are the guys that also had depopulation and immigration on their agenda, as well as AI and surveillance. So these are the guys, the Bilderberg Group, who have been planning for the New World Order since 1954. Some other interesting articles coming out in and around Palantir. Mossad's Silicon Valley puppets, how Peter Thiel turned Epstein pedo cash into Israel's global spy portal. This is the guy who basically gave all of the text so that all of these pages blew up. I really would encourage you to do a little bit of sort of like, digging in and around this as well, because a lot of this technology has been used against us when it comes to the NHS, when it comes to the British government now having its 24th contract, spying, surveilling, wanting everything when it comes to drones and everything of that sort. Absolutely terrifying technology that Peter Thiel was literally sort of like having in and around, and really sort of like exercising that around the Middle East as well. Interesting article also coming out here. Peter Thiel says Bill Gates is a very, very awful person, but not the Antichrist. Here, Peter Thiel and Rupert Murdoch orchestrating a quiet coup, Trump out, Vance in midterms, apparently. And this is what I want to give a little bit more of a spine to what we're talking about here today. God bless you guys. Thank you for being here. Is Peter Thiel unveils an American social credit score system to eradicate non-compliant citizens. So we're going to be talking in and around his surveillance grid in a moment and his push for digital ID. This is also what he has in store. They told you it was a conspiracy theory. They said the World Economic Forum was losing its power. But behind the scenes, the machinery never, ever stopped. Now, the social credit score system that you've long fantasized about is no longer theory. It's code, it's policy, and it's coming. Peter Thiel, yes, that Peter Thiel, once seen as a tech renegade, is now a WEF Trojan horse in the White House. His company Palantir, built to surveil, to profile, and to punish, is laying the infrastructure brick by digital brick. Their message to Americans is this clear: comply with the social credit score system or be excluded from society. What else have we heard from Bill Gates also saying that as well? If failure to have Bill Gates digital ID will exclude you from society. The same thing Ursula von der Leyen's also doing over here with the digital ID. See what's happening today in Canada. See what's happening also in America. See what's happening in other nations, in Australia, etc. This rollout, as we've been saying, this 5 eyes, these 5 names that are literally sort of like all singing from the same song sheet, as in, recorded Revelation 17, 13, all being of one mind to give their power to the beast. Seeing that rolling out, aren't we? This continues. But here's the kicker. This isn't some distant sci-fi nightmare. It's really already happening. The same Palantir technology has been prepared for rollout in America, is already being used overseas. And this technology is being used overseas to hunt, target, and eliminate the non-compliance. These places, the technology always has like a testing grounds, always has a place where it's a case of, okay, we'll use this as our pilot study somewhere over here in the Middle East, and then we'll be able to, use this in a war zone. If we can get that one sorted out, then it'll be really easy to do that in a civilian environment. And this is what's going to be happening with this technology, about saying how much surveillance and cameras and everything else that's going to be placed up and put up. We're going to cover that in a minute, but I want to cover this a little bit more. The World Economic Forum has spent years laying the groundwork for a global social credit score system, one that tracks your behavior, limits your freedom, and rewards blind compliance. And while they call it progress, we've been sounding the alarm, especially here on our channel from the start. At the heart of their plan, a global digital ID linked to everything, from your financial data to your carbon footprint. In this system, freedom isn't a right. It's a privilege you have to earn through constant compliance. Many believe the WEF had been defeated when Klaus Schwab stepped down, when the American people pushed back against the globalist agenda in the 2024 election. Not so. Now we've got BlackRock, which actually owns absolutely everything. And then you've got Larry Fink in the CEO chair instead. This is the guy who turns around and says that we're now entering the enforcement phase, and anyone who opposes us, it means instant death. This is what we're seeing. The globalists didn't surrender, however. They simply changed their strategy. Now lurking in the shadows, their dystopian vision is more dangerous than ever. It isn't a future threat, guys. It's a present reality, and its system delivery. Yep, you guessed it, Palantir. Peter Thiel's CIA-backed empire is building the surveillance infrastructure to make the WEF's dream a reality. right over there in the US, right over here in the UK, as well as in the Middle East and other nations. Palantir's Gotham platform, this is what is the terrifying one. It's not just Palantir, it's their Gotham one, was built by the CIA for the CIA. Its early years, the CIA was Palantir's only customer. It was and is still a surveillance tool designed for intelligence agencies. But this Gotham technology and its platform is all in and around targeted assassinations. So by gathering all this information, by sending out these drones, you can have some of that. Please also go onto our Rumble channel and see, sort of like Palantir videos that are there for you. This continues. No wonder Palantir co-founder Alex Karp is on record urging America to get ready for a three-front war with Russia, China, and Iran. These psychopathic globalists have been working hand in hand with the WEF to cause chaos around the world for decades, and now they are turning their dystopian technology onto the American people. Palantir is developing a new system for the federal government. Powered by artificial intelligence, they will monitor every single American. It will merge social security, IRS records, and immigration data into one centralized database. A single profile, a centralized point of control. And they're using Gotham to do it. The same platform the CIA funded to spy on foreign targets, now repurposed to track and condition you. This is what's so evil, isn't it? When you've got, all of this technology, it's not to be used against your own people. This is the whole thing that, Edward Snowden basically exposed, saying, no, this is the technology that they have, and this is how it's being misused. And this isn't for terrorist organizations or those that, have, bad intentions against America. This is their own populace. You don't do that to your own civilians, but these guys just don't care because they're using that. It's a great way to control and manipulate. So while most people are distracted or looking the other way, this is the quiet construction of a digital prison, guys, by a man long obsessed with the Antichrist, who went viral this week for insisting that he isn't one of them. You can't make this up. And yet he's the architect of the surveillance state rising around you. A former WEF global leader and longtime associate of Jeffrey Epstein, Peter Thiel brought himself political cover by pouring millions into Trump's presidential campaign and bankrolling J.D. Vance's Senate run in Ohio. While many were fooled into believing he was an ally of the anti-globalist right, Thiel was quietly laying the groundwork for something far more serious, as the public looked the other way. The foundation for a digital control grid was being built, one line of code, one government contract at a time. By whom? A WEF member who thinks that transgender surgeries do not go far enough and we should all transform ourselves more radically. The global elite's vision for the future is nothing short of dystopian. They're not just rewriting the rules, they're rewriting reality. They're rewriting family, gender, culture, gone, dismantled, privacy, abolished. In its place, well, a system of total obedience enforced by surveillance and algorithms. This isn't just a theory anymore. Thanks to Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, and the WEF's long-laid plans, the framework for a full-blown social credit score system in America is already being assembled, quietly and relentlessly. Still think it can't happen? Just look at the nations where Palantir's tech is already in place. The consequences aren't speculative, they're real and they are chilling. Palantir's AI system, reportedly, this is where it gets really dark, Palantir's AI system, reportedly nicknamed Antichrist AI by insiders, is already operational in Israel, where the Netanyahu government uses it to assign Palestinians a numerical score between 1 and 100, determining their perceived threat level. Even more disturbing, the system generates a daily kill list identifying 100 individuals for targeted assassinations based entirely on algorithmic profiling. Can you imagine what they're going? This is what they do to those that are, dissenters, isn't it? So first, you only have to sort of like, what was it, Red Army or that movie, isn't it? Where America gets invaded by these troops and everything of that, isn't it? What's the first thing what is the first thing that the occupying person ends up doing, or the army? Sticking all of the threats to their advances into education camps and just killing them all off. That's what we're literally seeing, guys, are we not, in this particular way? When it's like even more disturbing, the system generates a daily kill list identifying 100 individuals for targeted assassinations based entirely on algorithmic profiling. How long do you think it's going to be until it's a case of, right, this guy's got this amount of weapons, he's this particular threat, he does all of that? This is why they need so much data, because that's the gold. And then you can go and put yourself onto these lists. Team member was turning around to me and saying, Dan, do you realize that all of your medical files, everything is onto this supercomputer that goes there automatically? You can sign off and you can say you don't want that, but then you have to fill out a whole new form which says, I don't want my data being on this system or on this sort of like, being, put away. But then you've got to give your date of birth, your address, your NHS number, your national insurance number. You've got to give every single thing to it. So it's a case of, well, no. You just see what they do. They don't even ask for your consent. They will just take it and they will put all of your information on there because they're trying to connect these digital twins. A digital twin is the illegal version, if we can say that, of everything that they've already accrued over you. Think that we're not being tracked. Things what I've said to you guys over the period of time, that how I'm being sort of like having shows of force, how I'm being followed, how I've had all this technology against me. I've had planes, civilian, sort of like spraying over me, military aircraft spraying all over me. I've had my devices. I've had other bits of evidence in my house. I've been bugged. I can't explain anymore. So individuals like personally myself and maybe some of the team here, it's like, no, these guys are anti-establishment, or we're a threat to their agenda. We're going to be top of their list. But to be told that this is what they're compiling at the moment, kill lists for targeted assassinations, how terrifying that's also going to be. And on the video on our Rumble channel, you'll see this technology, you'll see this drone literally just like come out of nowhere, fly up, hover up, take a shot straight in the head of a person. Absolutely terrifying technology that's going to be used against you. Continuing, when asked about Palantir's role in these operations, Peter Thiel offered no real answer and instead said that he defers to Israel. While Thiel remains tongue-tied in public, behind closed doors, he and his WEF allies are aggressively lobbying for the same surveillance technology to be rolled out across the United States. His Palantir co-founder, Alex Karp, is even more brazen. According to Karp, anyone who resists or refuses to comply with the emerging social credit system should be treated as a terrorist. See how this is all going? Just as the Israeli government labels women and children queuing for food and water as enemy combatants. You see how blurry this line is? Once they sort of like label you or us, conspiracy theorists or whatever, or even those that serve the Lord God, they'll be labeling us as terrorists, and then that's it. There's no need for jury. There's no need for legal representation. Already getting rid of jury over here in the UK. Why? Because they're making their crimes legal. This is why they want you to do that. So if you're not compliant, then you go on another list, or being stored in a supercomputer in Brussels called the Beast. And this technology is Antichrist's AI. This is what they want to be calling it. This guy's obsessed with the Antichrist as well, turning around and saying that you'd be labeled as a terrorist, and then you'd be shoved into some white van, which I see hundreds of them just literally just sat there listening to me praying in the morning. And then that'll be it. You'll be taken to a black site, and that'll be it. Guantanamo Bay style, and you're done. That's it. You get labeled and put under these categories of terrorism. That's it. You can kiss your butt goodbye. Continuing with this. This is the same man who once suggested deploying drones to spray fentanyl-laced urine on those who oppose him. And no joke, he didn't say it like a joke either. In Palantir circles, neutralizing hostile cognitive infrastructure, military speak for destroying the contents of a skull that holds the wrong ideas, is considered for these guys a top priority. They've already developed slide decks and strategy briefings outlining exactly how it will be executed when the time comes. Did you hear those gasps and things like that? These are the people who sign up to the globalist mission to monitor and control humanity through advanced technology. And it's being rolled out before our eyes while the masses continue to be asleep, believing that everything's all fine and it's all going back to normal. These big, beautiful bills, lowercase b, 666, Build Back Better, lowercase b, 666. Xfinity just launched a Wi-Fi motion, a new feature that tracks movements inside your home using nothing but Wi-Fi signals. No cameras, no sensors, just your internet bouncing waves off your body to see where you are. And it's automatically included. Your router just became a motion detector. Welcome to the next phase of surveillance, and they're calling it, obviously, convenience. If they promise safety, it's really also about control. If Palantir is involved, guys, you are the product. If Peter Thiel is funding it, assume it is a CIA front, and they say it's for security, it's for surveillance. Wrong. If you dare to ask any questions about this, congratulations, you just put yourself on the list. Here in other headlines, Peter Thiel says transgender people aren't going far enough. We want more sex changes. Peter Thiel is very, very interested in people's blood, young people's blood, especially with his adrenochrome habits. He is also a guy who's been hanging out with Epstein on his island numerous times. Absolutely hideous and vile. We will be looking at the article in a moment, guys. Alex Karp demands US taxpayers bankroll Palantir to build America digital ID surveillance grid. But I'd love to see who the Lord's brought in here today. God bless you guys. Thank you for being here. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Georgia Vishika. Thank you guys for holding the fort. Hi, Sub-Zero. Bless you guys. Hi, Jonathan. Good to see you all. Hi, Laurie. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Alison. Yeah, things have sped up. Things have been rolled out. They've got their Agenda 2030 goals. They've got 5 years to bag, rag, and tag all of this. And you've got the governments, every government making all these contracts and deals with them when it comes to surveillance, when it comes to immigration, when it comes to documenting, stealing everybody's data. It's the same thing they're doing over here with like the NHS, having contracts with those that they can put all of those and place people on particular lists so that they can go on particular trains and never be heard of again. This is where it's all heading, but it is all speeding up. Hi, Vladimir, bless you. Yeah, absolutely, Alison. It does feel like that switch has been flipped. Game on, full steam, makes me, yeah, absolutely. It is all like that. This is what I've been in my own self sensing, is that, you know, the enemy has been having conversations with the Lord. It's like, well, when is it going to be my time, my rule, all of this sort of like stuff. And it's a case of, well, you know, around 2030-ish, you know, whatever. And that's why they're hell bent on it. You've got so much information about the UK over here, just as an example, really pushing for the Agenda 2030 goals, really pushing for the Sustainable Development Goals, all 17 of them. Real crazy push for the digital IDs, push for the digital passports, push for everything to be biometric, push for a social credit score system, the central bank digital currencies or the digital euros, pushing out on all this censorship, silencing everybody in the opposition before they really flip the switch. These are the guys that are turning around and doing this sort of like, bank change and everything in the next couple of years. Everything is on full speed ahead. We've got the Pope going around doing the honors as well, meeting with all his Muslim nations. The horrificness of all of this as the governments are signing up more contracts to abolish farming, more contracts to spray overhead, poison and weaponize us, giving us alternative. We're being herded, guys, into a bottleneck. It is literally, it's almost like, the train's a few miles away, guys, but we are being ushered into it. And under the pretense of a false flag, inside job, 9/11, or whatever it's going to be, every case of, we're going to take you to safety. You can't live in the country because it's all, sort of like polluted or whatever nonsense. And then you think that you're going, just like the Jews did, to a particular place of safety. No, and they were dead in the hour. That's exactly what's going to be. I personally believe. And if it's not that far ahead, and maybe we get rescued at some point, that there'll be imprisoning, re-education camps, quarantine camps. We cannot be sort of like, in and around that. And that's why I suspect that they're going to be pushing that ahead. So everything is super fast and super fast mode. It really, really is. So important that the information that is being given to you guys, gets out. Because I feel this is God's blessing to us as a church, as a ministry, to say, be prepared for a few of these things. If they go turning off the lights, or there's some sort of like, cyber attack, black swan event, as Klaus Schwab says that there's going to be, or a pandemic. Read him today, as I'm sure you guys read also, just how in pubs they're just giving, like jabs and all of this sort of nonsense, as the CDC and the FDA say, no, recall these vaccines. But it's fine. We'll start our little approach, all saying, there's a super bug, there's a super flu thing going around. Get your flu shots. It's like absolute evil. These are the ones that need to be placed on trains to certain destinations, not us. These are and they're the ones that are the criminal. These are those guys that want to do everything seedily, darkly, deceive evilly. We're the law-abiding citizens, and these are the sort of like criminal hacks. Bless you guys. You're having a bit of a deep and meaningful one there. Hi, Peter. God bless you, my friend. Very welcome to you. Please do go show some support to our Peter and our Laurie. Okay, then, guys, let's just read this out. Alex Karp demands US taxpayers bankroll Palantir to build American digital ID system at grid. In a stunning moment caught on camera, Palantir CEO Alex Karp openly demanded American taxpayers bankroll a nationwide digital ID system, a proposal that will push the US over the edge and into a Chinese-style social monitoring regime. The comments resurfaced this week after a clip circulated by More Perfect Union shows Karp arguing that a federally supported digital ID grid would help the US stay competitive in the age of AI. See how interesting it is that they give different reasons and excuses and nonsense. It's going to keep the boats out. It's going to be just useful when you want to get a new job or a new property. Then you're going to need it for social media. We're going to need it for your banking. You're not going to be able to fly anywhere. You're not going to be able to do anything. You're going to be excluded from society for failure to comply. Different sort of like, carrot and sticks. Continuing with this, well, what did he say? But what Palantir's history makes impossible to ignore is that such a system will place one of the world's most powerful surveillance contractors at its center. And the Karp has never hidden his philosophy. I don't think in win or lose, Karp says. I think in domination. Bad times are very good for Palantir, he says. Surveillance capitalism hasn't spoken this bluntly since Bill Gates warned that those who refuse to comply will be excluded from society. Can we not see where this is all heading, causing all, both great and small, to be taking their products? This is their grooming of that, getting you all teed up to be submissive, for you to surrender your data, your information, because you want to be on social media. You don't want to lose contact. You want to have all this. You want to go about and fly, and you want to have this stuff. So you're going to yield to that. Failure to have that means you're not going to be able to go out and about. Same thing they did in the lockdowns, the same thing they're grooming now. Causes all. You're not going to be able to buy, you're not going to be able to sell, you're not going to be able to go for a meal. Oh, but you can go to a strip joint. You can go and, sort of like go there. You can go to gambling and casinos, but you can't go to church. Can't go and see your dead relative. This is what they want. It's a case of you do it our way or there's no way. Inconceivable, isn't it, when we think about this? So let's just look at this. From CIA seed money to national operating systems. We spoke about this. Palantir was born from the ashes of the DARPA Total Information Awareness Program, an initiative so controversial, okay, it was publicly shut down in 2003 after people realized it aimed to predict citizens' behavior by pulling mass data from every corner of their lives without your consent. The shutdown was cosmic. The CIA's venture arm in Thiel immediately backed a young Peter Thiel's startup, Palantir, nicking that from the Lord of the Rings and the all-seeing sort of like eye, giving it access to analysts and infrastructure. The TIA dream simply moved from government to private hands. Today, Palantir's flagship software, Gotham, which we've spoken about, underpins counterterrorism, predictive policing, immigration enforcement, and domestic surveillance across the West. Karp himself admits the company thrives in crisis because crisis expands the market for control. As Marshall McLuhan warned, we march backwards into the future. America is sleepwalking into a surveillance architecture built in secret 2 decades ago. So this is a perfect storm for Ellison, Thiel, Musk, and the race to digitalize human beings. Karp's comments arrived just as America's most powerful technocrats unveil their visions for the country's future. This is what Larry Ellison is all about, being long obsessed with biometric identification. Ellison once offered the government a national ID system for free. Recently, he bragged, citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything. Oracle now markets biometric ID as the key to security, while Ellison pushes for AI-driven medical passports, personalized mRNA treatments, and a globally networked health data regime. Peter Thiel. Thiel's worldview is clear. America isn't a democracy anymore. It is ruled by unelected technocrats. And we've been saying that, haven't we, guys, in and around. You've got, Elon Musk with his brain chip, all right, Neuralink. You've also got Synchron, which is the other brain chip. That's the brain computer interface. Yeah, with Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates. Then you've got Sam Altman, haven't you got? You've got Mark Zuckerberg. You've got Peter Thiel. Yeah, you've got these individuals, all of these tech giants coming on in. So Thiel's worldview is clear. America isn't a democracy. It is ruled by unelected technocrats. Palantir is his masterpiece, a data refinery capable of identifying, sorting, ranking, and predicting human behavior. And he's placing his people everywhere. David Sachs, Jim O'Neill, Ken Howey, Trey Stevens, the PayPal mafia, metasized all into the government. Then comes Elon Musk. Musk's Starshield satellites already provide military-grade global surveillance, while his influence over the US digital infrastructure grows with no democratic oversight. This is also what, you know, is happening with Jeff Bezos as well, wanting to have these competitions. It's not a case of competitions, it's they're all of one mind and they just want different pieces of this pie. So you'll be having, you know, this is what it'll be. We've said it before, haven't we? You'll be stood before these guys that take the mark of the beast. All right, they'll be stood before the Lord and they'll be like, no, I see some Jeff Bezos in you. See a little bit of Sam Altman, see a little bit of Elon Musk, see a little bit of Peter Thiel and the likes. Don't see anything of me in there at all. I didn't make this. I didn't make that. Seeing this, aren't we? Here, Musk's Starshield satellite already provides military-grade global surveillance, while his influence over the US digital infrastructure grows with no democratic oversight. Together, these men represent what author Catherine Austin Fitts calls Mr. Global, the merger of big tech, big defense, and big finance into a single borderless global governance layer. So here it is, the digital ID, the missing keystone of the control grid. So why is Palantir pushing so hard? Because digital ID is the master key. Tokenized finance, biometric borders, predictive policing, AI-driven social scoring, medical surveillance, smart cities, and the Internet of Bodies and the Internet of Things all require a unified, government-backed identity layer. China achieved this with the social credit score system. Karp sees an opportunity to do the same, but privatized and funded by the American people. A senior US official once admitted that if TIA had survived, it would look like today's Palantir ecosystem. This is not, guys, innovation. It's the reboot of a failed globalist authoritarian project. So this whole pre-crime from the movie Minority Report, Palantir's software is already used for these following things. Number one, track political dissidents, score individual risk levels. Number three, forecast crime before it happens. And number four, map social networks and associations. Trump previously legalized certain forms of pre-crime analytics under AG Bill Barr. Now, with Palantir executives embedded inside departments, a nationwide rollout appears to be even closer. Israel's use of AI kill lists, programs like Lavender, has shown how quickly these tools jump from data analytics to lethal decision making. Karp dismissed those concerns by saying, nah, my bias is to defer to Israel. So what happens when that bias enters our justice system? So here we have the tokenized human turning society into a digital concentration grid. Financial giants like BlackRock are pouring billions into AI-driven asset tokenization, land, forests, water, even carbon emission. Every natural system is being converted into a tradable digital instrument. The next logical steps is tokenizing you and I, the individual. So this is where digital ID merges with, number one, central bank digital currencies. Number two, medical passports. Number three, behavioral monitoring. Number four, algorithmic governance. And number five, automated penalties and rewards. So what's the end game? A programmable social contract where dissent becomes economically impossible. Or as Bill Gates put it, people who refused to submit must be excluded from society, then exclude away. A sleepwalking nation at the edge of a globalist technocratic coup. The American public still thinks of tech as convenient gadgets and apps. Meanwhile, the world's most powerful companies are quietly building a post-constitutional governance system, aka the beast system here, guys. And this is how it's going to be doing it. Number one, borderless. The Club of Rome will join. Yeah, America will join Canada. Canada will also join Greenland. There's the first Club of Rome's Kingdom. The UK will rejoin the EU, and there's a second Club of Rome's Kingdom, as recorded by the prophet Daniel. Them putting this all up into the 10 kingdoms. So there we go, the borderless thing, because that takes away the national identity. That takes away everyone's sovereignty, merges everything into it, doesn't it? Breeding everybody out, changing the entire way of life, assimilating, you know, sort of like that particular culture and taking it over. And I will just add, you know, resistance isn't futile, by the way, but this is what they're wanting, things with borders, is it not? Things to be borderless. Number two, this is what also they want, is to be unaccountable. Number three, things to be algorithmic, in real time, things to be finalized, things to be predictive programming, things to be self-expanding. This is not Big Brother. This is Big Brother privatized, optimized, and automated. And now Palantir wants you to pay for it. As McCullen said, we look at the present through a rear view mirror. By the time we recognize that this system is, it will already be fully installed. That was that particular article there. Just love to see what you guys have got to say in and around this. I don't know, Sherry, if you're able to put in the Palantir video into the sort of like chat. I don't know if I'm able to do that. Yeah, no, I don't want to risk sort of like leaving the screen. But if you want to have a little bit more information about, you know, the Gotham technology, you want to be looking at the Palantir, you want to be looking at there's 24 contracts over here that the UK have got. You want to be looking at what he's doing with this tech and how, you know, it's being used in a sort of like combatant sort of like parts of the world, especially in the Middle East. Now that this is going to be used against you and civilians, it's terrifying, guys, where this is all literally heading, wanting everybody to have that digital ID from the digital public infrastructure. And then that's it. It's awful. Bless you guys. Absolutely, Peter. I couldn't agree more. Peter's saying here, we must announce everything that God shows us. The people need to know. That's part of what we need to be doing here. As we keep on saying, our verse here is Ephesians 5:11. Have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, rather expose them. So yesterday's video was really difficult for us as a channel, I suppose, to be talking in and around child sacrificing. Others, we've been talking around suicide and euthanasia, medical assistance in dying. We've been challenging some of these sex trades and the adrenochrome and the harvesting of organs, all of the poisons that are being sprayed overhead, all of the things that are being weaponized in the food and the water, let alone everything digitally as well. We have to speak up against this because this is what the enemy wants us to do. He wants us to remain silent. He wants us to roll over. He wants us to be compliant. We cannot submit or yield to the beast system's rules or guidelines. We cannot. So if we get strikes, we get strikes. If we have to rebuild a channel, we have to rebuild a channel. Great, we'll work on our 8th channel. I'm open for that. I'd love to put some fresh things about. But this is what we are called to be doing, because this is our love for people. Is, you know, you see this danger coming, then you want to warn them of that, don't you? And say, hey, be careful about this. You know, pray over your food. Be mindful that these guys aren't being forthcoming with the products and the things that are in the food. This lab grown nonsense. And all the carcinogenics and everything else that's being done. You're being literally depopulated through so many different ways. It's so important that we speak up, especially as a choice, because that's how the ground gets taken. If there's no one there occupying it and speaking up and shouting out about it, we have to sound that alarm. And it's for people's benefit that this happens. So people might be thinking, oh, it's all good. I've got my phone now. I have my digital ID. They don't know where this is going to head. They have got no idea because they don't take their thoughts to conclusion. They're too stupefied that they just see the dangling carrot of convenience and they don't realize that that's going to be it. You're going to need that for everything. And if you misbehave and you don't do what the beast system tells you, that's it. You're done. What does the Bible say? Where this is all hands, it causes all, both great and small, free and slave, to receive a mark on their, right hand or their forehead, so that no man may buy or sell save he who has the mark. Can we not see this with the digital ID about excluding you from society as well as from other services and everything else based upon this? See those walls coming in sort of like, Star Wars style. Do you know what I mean? Death Star in it. You know, sticking a little twig in between ain't going to stop this momentum, guys. So this is, part of our passion here, as you well know, brother, to expose all of these stuffs as well, as is your heart as well, to prepare people spiritually and to feed them and to love and bless them as they're sort of like struggling. But this is part of ours, and it's not nice and it's not pretty, this beast system. But as per our rule, we cannot yield and we cannot submit to these rules and the guidelines. We cannot. That's the beast system. We cannot bow down to it. When we are taken out of here, people are going to have to make life and death decisions as to whether or not they surrender to this mark, as to whether or not they will bow down to the beast himself, or statues of him all over the place with gun turrets on there, just checking people's compliance, or having all of that going on inside, being able to know what you're thinking with the brain computer interfaces, that everything's being sort of like put in with the injections and everything's being sprayed. Saw from Dabu77 yesterday around all this fog that's all there, this fog vid again. They did it last Christmas, didn't they? Blanketed everything for all of that period of time. So we'd be sucking in all their smart dust and everything else, so that they're able to know, as Yuval Harari says, the next type of surveillance is going on in under your skin. That ain't the mark of the beast. That's the brain computer interfaces that they've got going on. That brain computer interface, or their sort of like brain chip, isn't like Neuralink's Elon Musk. That's the injectable. So I'm hoping that you're able to see some of those things, but we are seeing a foreshadow, in my opinion, of this technocratic beast system. And as those of us that are alive and remain at the moment, it is so important that we are leading by example for what will be our peers, our brothers and our sisters and our family members that aren't saved. No, those Christians did not yield to the beast system. They did not comply with its rules and regulations. Didn't be on this YouTube platform saying "de at nut ju at r." No, they shouted from the rafters, "Be careful, warning, danger, Will Robinson, if you will," just so that people were informed, because we love them, and that's the father heart of God. So we have to sort of like do that. Cannot sort of like entertain, sort of like this beast system at all in any way. We have to expose it. We do not get, as you have probably heard 100 times here, guys, editorial control over what it is that we are shown. And God hates a coward. So I couldn't agree more. We must announce everything that God shows us, Pete says. The people need to know. They do. No, exactly. Whenever they want to control us more, they make it look like we really need it. It's absolutely. This is part of our job as well. Exposing the beast system is one thing, but it's also exposing the nature of the beast system. And we're a perfect example, not perfect, but we're an example of that here. How it will steal our views, how it will suppress our work, how it will break those lines of communication. Throw AI against us, algorithms against us already. Talking about a social credit score system. Really? I can't get a video on Rumble over 100. And it's impossible to try and get growth here on this channel. It's like a painstaking drip feed. But if I was to start celebrating evil and wickedness and all of this sort of stuff, and I went all woke and I started to dance around the climate lie and the alphabet people and started kumbaya in that nonsense and evil, woof, through the roof. But what's more important to Father God? Obedience, yeah. Consistency, yeah. Being persistent, yeah. Being brave, being bold, absolutely. Not bowing down to the beast, because we know where this all ends. We all know where it all heads. So I agree. Actually, Daughter Fishka, yeah, Pete, when you tell people what Father God says, they don't listen and they shun you, yeah. And that's sometimes it. I've challenged myself, and I was like, well, Lord, is it because I've failed in talking about that to them? Excuse me. Is it because I've failed in that some way? Or is it a case of, have you hardened their heart? Have you hardened their mind? And maybe have nothing to do with me. Maybe they've got a different path altogether. But we just have to do what it is that we do and leave it there. And it is discouraging when people that we love don't support us, considering how supportive that we can be of them. It's just not reciprocated like that, because there is that sort of like a veil over their eyes. and you know, they just need to sort of like take the red pill, leave the blue pill alone. But we've got to be loving and patient towards them as well, in as much as we can. Absolutely, Peter. We shall not be moved. Yeah, it is, Cher. And I feel really bad as well, because we won't give it an easy assignment, guys. Let's just be honest about it. All right. But I wouldn't want it any other way. You know, we were trained hard to fight easy. This is how we do. Bless you guys. Please do sub to our dear brother over at Spiritual Logic for Truth. Absolute legend you are. Thank you so much for your company, buddy, and all of your hard work, as well as Pete and Laurie. Please do sub to these great channels, guys. Hi, Mian. These guys are just really in on it. I'd like to finish with some scripture, if I may. Okay, really important that we do. 1 John 4:8 reads, anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. Romans 5:8, and God showed his love for us, that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. John 15:13 reads, greater love has no one than this, that someone laid down his life for his friends. 1 John 4:16, so we have come to know and to believe the love that God has for us, because God is love. And whoever abides in love abides in God, and God abides in him. Have it. Galatians 5:22, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things there is no law. Just love these scriptures. 1 John 4:10, and we'll finish with this. If this is love, not that we have loved God, but that he has loved us and sent his Son to be the propitiation for our sins. Just magnificent scripture there, guys. As per normal, I'm going to put a sort of like thumbnail together for this live. Then I'll put the article titled Alex Karp demands US taxpayer Bankroll Palantir to build American digital ID surveillance grid. As always, guys, we put in a couple of posts as well, supplementary posts for you. So we're probably going to be looking at maybe another 20 or 30 pictures and thumbnails that you can put on your social media. Could I also encourage you guys not only to show some love to some of the my great peers here, as well as our team for holding the fort, but could you also just pray, please, for Australia? All right, in terms of what those guys are having today, having to submit a digital ID just to access Google, just to be able to access YouTube and other platforms that they're not going to be having as well. I also just encourage you as well, please consider just prayerfully, if you would mind, just blessing some of these other ministries financially, especially our Peter and our Laurie, as well as Spiritual Logic for Truth. That you just bless them. These guys are also on the wall, fighting for the Lord, running the race. And what a privilege to have you guys here with us as well. So please do show them some love. God bless you guys. Thank you very much. And we will touch base again tomorrow. Thank you for the pleasure of your company. All right then now.